Hello, all you beautiful people out there, and welcome to my channel. Uh, okay, so I am like majorly pissed off tonight. Um, a pipe broke in my apartment and flooded the whole goddamn bathroom and part of the carpeting. So we had the maintenance crew come out, and we're probably going to be getting a hefty, not a fine, but a fee, um, because the pipe did bust. But anyway, hey, Nevermore. So I'm pissed about that. And then on top of all of that, I've got a headache. So I'm pissed about that. And to add insult to injury, why can't the goddamn fucking young earth creationists learn to read? Okay, so here's what happened. I don't know if you know him. If you're on my channel, you probably do. His name's Aaron Ra. He's really big in the atheist community. Um, anyway, he's doing Kent Hovind's supposed lies in the textbook series. And anyway, sorry about the little. I just had to get that out of my system. So anyway, moving on. Um, so so Aaron, his his the last of the series was Life 14. Let me bring it up here.
Melissa from
And Life 14 is supposedly um okay, Kent Hovind says a whale's pelvis was designed for reproduction. No, it wasn't. It was designed for walking on land. And if you know anything about evolution, you can figure this out. But at any rate, so I've been chatting with this dude that obviously has no clue about evolution. And he doesn't even know the difference between abiogenesis and evolution. Why does that not surprise me? Anyway, he was asking me some really stupid questions. I mean, really stupid questions. And I'm like, hey, you know, I'm more than willing to talk to you if you have any intelligent questions to ask me. But if you only want to ask me stupid questions, fuck off. So, anyway, so he was asking me about, well, if chemicals, hang on, let me get to it. We're talking about abiogenesis, right? And he says, because it is a he as far as I know, they don't walk on pelvis now, but they somehow magically did long ago and far away. That's totally logical and makes perfect sense. Of course, this dude is being sarcastic. So I reply, look who's talking about magic. You literally believe mankind came from a golem spell. However, to answer your question, you totally missed the point of progression over time. Maybe you should actually learn the theories and not the strawman. So he replies back, I believe God made life, not Gollum. You believe rock soup made life, which sounds more logical, an intelligent God making life or a random soup of chemicals making life. This is the problem with Kent Hovind people. All right. So I reply, that's rich. You don't even know what a golem spell is. Look it up because I'm certainly not going to go into it. Christianity is bullshit. I know because I used to be a Christian. Then he says, you still haven't answered the question, which sounds more logical, God making life or soup making life? And I respond, it wasn't soup. Are you illiterate? So, yeah, I'm getting mad about this time. Because he's obviously not. He obviously. Either he doesn't care or he's too stupid to get it. Or he's too indoctrinated to get it. Okay. So he says, okay, I'll rephrase in layman's terms since you don't know how to answer questions. Which makes more sense? An intelligent God making life or non-life making life? And I answer, predictable chemical processes made life. Life is far from intelligently designed. For starters, who would make the birth canal next to the poop chute? Also, our eyes are totally backwards too. By the way, if you have any intelligent questions to ask me, feel free to do so. Otherwise, fuck off. Also, don't get your info from a low-life bottom feeder like Hovind. So he answers, okay, if chemicals made life, then how come we don't see new life forming in chemicals all the time? And how come intelligent scientists can't make life today? Apparently, the chemicals are smarter than the scientists. Again, being sarcastic. Then I replied, 2 reasons I can think of right off the bat. Today's environment is very different from that of 3.5 billion years ago, and modern life would outcompete it. However, you are assuming that chemical reactions no longer lead to life. That assumption cannot be proven either way. So, and then I go on to say, let me explain something. We are made of chemicals. Every single cell. So why do you think that it's not possible for chemical reactions to make life? Then he says, so life can't form from chemicals now, but it somehow magically happened long ago and far away. That's a Kent Hovinism, by the way. That's special pleading. Totally logical and makes perfect sense. No, it's not. It's not special pleading. You need to go learn the fucking theory. Then he says, and you still didn't explain why scientists can't make life. Because heaven forbid you actually answer a question like a normal person. And in my defense, I actually didn't see that question. So, you know, so I answer questions one at a time. If you don't like that, don't ask. Ask for that question. Life would take a while to develop. It can't be done in one experiment. You do know what an experiment is, don't you? If you don't, I'll be happy to tell you. I did not say life can't form from chemicals now. We are chemicals. That's all we are. Look, if you're not going to pay attention to my explanations, there's really no reason to converse further. Also, what do you think the egg and the sperm are? You really need to research these theories on your own because all Kent can do is give straw man. You do know what a straw man is. By the way, you also need to learn how to read. It seems that you, like Kent, have trouble with reading comprehension. Okay. I'm sorry. I just get mad at these people. And I used to be one of them. So I don't know why I do. I used to be much more patient with them. But I guess the further away I get from Christianity, the more nonsensical it becomes. And anyway, um yeah. What does he think the egg and the sperm are? Uh they're chemicals. Your brain is what, Nevermore? Oh, face palm? Gotcha. And crying. And bruised. Okay, I gotcha. Gotcha. So anyway, what is wrong with this picture here? Sorry about that. What does he think the egg and the sperm are? We are made of chemicals. That's all we are made of. Every single cell in our body is nothing but chemicals. So if I really wanted to be a jackass to this person, I would say, well, life still does arise by chemicals because the egg and the sperm are chemicals. Easy as that. But I don't want to be a jackass. I don't know. Sometimes I think I go too easy on these people, but at other times I'm like, you know what? I used to be the exact same way. But the thing is, hey, Tom, tell me about it nevermore. But the thing is, I guess he has no clue that the egg and the sperm are basically chemicals. Because if he knew that, he wouldn't ask that ridiculous question about how chemicals give rise to life. Chemicals give rise to life thousands of times a day. Thank you, Tom. So I don't really see why. I mean, okay. So I can see them saying, but you still need a mom and a dad. Okay. Let's go with that thinking for just a little while. I'm not going to harp too much on it, but let's go with that thinking for a while, okay? They still need a mommy and a daddy. In the Christian tradition, except the Gnostics are like, I'll get to the Gnostics eventually, but the Gnostics do have a goddess. And by the way, so do the Mormons. But why do young earth creationists, if they insist that a mommy and daddy are needed for life, why don't they insist that a goddess is needed for life too? Why is there only a God in their religion? So, so you see the problem here. They've got cognitive dissonance. And I mean, I guess they don't even know they have cognitive dissonance. This is true, Tom. This is true. But the problem is they say, okay, creationists, whether they're young earth or old earth or intelligent designers, and yes, ID is creationist, even if they don't want to accept that label. Let's just call it what it is, okay? They want to insist that quote unquote evolutionists, I could go on a rant about that too, but that'll make this thing too long. Anyway, they say that evolutionists think we came from a rock. Well, obviously we don't. I'm telling the guy to go look up the theories himself. But God forbid he do that, because if he did, well, fuck me, he might actually start believing the shit. And then he'll have to stop pretending that he's something special. Yeah, nevermore. And there are organisms that can switch between male and female. And there are organisms that are both male and female, so go figure. And then there are organisms that technically it is sexual reproduction, but the gametes are the same. And then there are organisms like us in which our gametes are different. So anyway, so I'm telling this guy all of this, and he's like, well, what about this? What about that? I'm like, dude, I just answered your goddamn question. Can't you read? Anyway, I don't know what we're going to do about these people. I think they're a dying breed because, I mean, let's face it. They keep having to pile on the bullshit for their fucking, not necessarily their religion, although I do believe Christianity is bullshit, but they have to pile on the bullshit to believe in special creation. Let's put it that way. And, you know, why? Well, I can tell you why. They don't like the fact that we are animals. And every time one of them says, we're not animals, I say, or apes. You know, I mean, I used animals and apes. It depends. You know, sometimes I say we're apes. Sometimes I say we're animals. Depends. I tell them every single time they come back, we're not animals, we're not apes. I said, you look up the scientific definition, not the dictionary definition, but the scientific definition of animal or ape. And you tell me how we are the exception. Because there is no exception. We are apes. Plain and simple. And if you don't like it, well, boo-hoo. And another thing I said to him, and I already said this when Nevermore was in here, you know, what kind of an intelligent designer would put the birth canal next to the poop chute? How much sense does that make? Our eyes are backwards. Why do the bones that migrate into the to the ear, okay? Biological fact, people. Why do bones that end up in the ear start in the throat? Uh, 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 uh. That's what you're going to get from a creationist. That's what you're going to get. You know? This is true too, Nevermore. I mean, a lot of people choke, you know, lots of people. And lots of people die from choking, you know. Um, you know, snakes. I'm not too fond of snakes, mainly because I don't know which ones are venomous and which aren't. But I have watched snake shows, and snakes have when they are swallowing their prey. It's a whole big spiel, and I can't go into it because I don't know the ins and outs of it. But I do know that while they are swallowing their prey, because most of them have big prey, like rabbits and stuff like that, um, they have a, I don't know what it's called, but it's a tube for breathing that is like totally separate. Like you can actually see the tube for breathing in their mouth as they are swallowing their prey. So the tube for breathing is totally separate from what they use to swallow. Is a Christian or a creationist going to tell me, and they won't, I already know this, that God cares more about snakes than he cares about us? Then why the fucking hell did he give snakes that special little breathing tube and not us? Why do most people have impacted molars? If we don't need our molars, and most people don't, in fact, most people, me included, had impacted molars, and I had to get oral surgery to get them taken out. Okay. So why do we have those molars? Our most people's jaws, there are some people, but most people's jaws cannot accommodate their molars. Biological fact, people, look it up. Oh, interesting, Nevermore. So why do we have them? If our jaw can't accommodate them and we are intelligently designed, shouldn't the intelligent designer have known, hey, these people's jaws can't handle molars, so, I'm just not going to give them molars? Do they even think about this stuff? Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I'm actually expecting them to think. No, of course they don't think. What about the appendix? Our appendix can and does kill us even today. And back before modern medicine, it killed even more people. Why do we have the appendix? All it does is kill people. Now, it does have a function. It is part of the immune system, but it's not something that you need. So they want to ask me all these questions, and I really don't mind, I'll go and get the answers for them. But the problem is they need to go get the answers for themselves, because I can't tell them everything. Nobody can tell them everything. That's just the way life is, But they want to act like there's some kind of special whatevers. And, you know, people who accept evolution, we can explain why humans have molars. And it is because our ancestors but we are still apes, but I'm talking about further back in our ancestry. Okay. We had bigger jaws. And that's why we have molars, because way back when our jaws could accommodate molars. That's why we have molars. Why do we have canines? We don't need canines. But if you look at the other great apes, they have massive canines. That's why we have canines. Humans don't need canines. We can do just fine with premolars and incisors. Nevermore, I know what you're talking about, but they're just going to say, oh, Adam and Eve fell. I'm going to do a show on that later. But anyway, but yeah, I don't understand when you show these people, and I mean, I do understand it's because they're indoctrinated, but then you know, you're like, you have all this evidence, okay? And this is why evangelicals either have their own colleges or they don't want their kids to go to college. This is exactly why. They want their kids to either go to an evangelical college or they don't want their kids to go to college. Why? Because you're going to learn a lot of shit in college that everybody, parents included, and I don't blame the parents. Most parents don't know this. Okay. Most parents were lied to also. Okay. So I don't blame the parents. All right. But you go to college, you're going to learn shit. And you're going to learn that you've been lied to your entire life. Very good question, Nevermore. Very good question. Who knows? You know, I don't know whether I've done this. I think I have done it. One of my atheist church, I think it was one of my atheist churches, I was like, you know what? Instead of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, we can just say the tree of knowledge. Because if God is real, and the Christian God definitely isn't, he didn't want us getting knowledge. In fact, if you read on, if you read on in that chapter, I can't remember which chapter it is right now. It's 3 or 4, Genesis 3 or 4. If you read on, and this is going to come up in another atheist church, but if you read on, you'll see that God kicks Adam and Eve out of the garden not because they sinned. He never says he kicks them out of the garden because they sinned. Look it up. I'm not lying. He never says that. What he says is we have to kick Adam and Eve out of the Garden of Eden because now they are like us in that they have the knowledge of good and evil. And if we let them eat from the tree of life, they will be us. There will be no separating us from them. Look it up. That's what he says. So anyway, I don't know. I get so. That's why I started my channel. I mean, seriously, I just got tired of repeating myself with the young earth creationists. Just got tired of repeating myself. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to start a channel. Tell them, you know what? If you really want to know the answers, go to my channel. And, anyway, but while I'm on the topic of the Old Testament, I've been talking about in atheist church, I've been talking about the Christian interpretation of the Old Testament because I really have no idea what the Jewish interpretation is, except the book of Daniel, and I'm going through that right now, and as I go through the scholarly works, and Daniel's just my first. I'm going to go through each and every book with the scholars. So that's coming, okay? But if one of my regular viewers, thank you, regular viewer, whoever you are. I can't remember who you are right now, but thank you. Turned me on to a rabbi named Tovia Singer. Put that in the chat. Very good at explaining the how Christianity fucked up the Jewish scriptures so much. So he's a very good resource if you want to know about that kind of stuff. And so anyway, well, I'm gonna get off now. Thank you for coming. I know it was last minute. I just needed to get some stuff out of my system, especially with the young earth creationist. He was getting a bit under my skin, and I know I shouldn't let them do that, but I especially since I used to be one, But I mean, come on. At some point, you've either there's a point in time. There's a fork in the road. Okay, we all know about the fork in the road, the proverbial fork in the road, and there comes a time when you either have to stick your head in the sand or rethink your religion. Now, I'm not saying, you've got to go to atheism or whatever. I'm not saying that whatsoever. I don't care if people are atheists or Jewish or, Christian or whatever. I really don't care, you know. But when you have a dangerous teaching like young earth creationism, and it is dangerous, then you're going to come to a fork in the road where you're going to learn the truth. And then you have a choice. You can go with the truth, or you can stick your head in the sand. And you can continue being a creationist. Those are the only two options when you learn the truth. And, I don't know where this guy's at. I'm hoping that he's at the learning stage. I'm hoping he's asking me these questions because he's really confused about this stuff and he really wants to learn. But on the other hand, he listens to Kent Hovind, and you can tell that he listens to Kent Hovind because he uses the exact same language that Kent Hovind does. And I don't really have much hope for people who listen to Kent Hovind because Kent Hovind is about one step from a cult leader. And it's pretty sad when you've got people, that are like, anyway, people worship Kent Hovind, believe it or not. Hey, Hans. Okay, got it. Thanks for the tip. Yeah, I mean, the problem is not questioning. And when I was growing up, I was told not to question. And then I was about maybe 15 or so. I was still a young earth creationist until I hit my 20s when I started questioning young earth creationism when I was in college. But when I was about 15 or so, I was like, you know what? Why can't I question? If this is the truth, if this is the truth, it should stand up to questioning. So why are people so afraid for me to ask questions. And if you think about it that way, it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. But they don't think about it that way. And, you know, I don't know. You know, hopefully he's going to take some of my answers to heart, but I don't know. Anyway, if you have not subscribed, please subscribe, hit that like button, and if you feel this is worth sharing, please share it on your social media. If you would like to join this channel, the join button is right under the video, so you can join. I have 2 tiers. I have a $2.99 tier and a $4.99 tier, I believe. And I will get an edited video out tomorrow. Unfortunately, that's the only edited video I'm going to be able to get out this week. Like I said, a pipe burst in our house, and you know, we had to take care of that, and I was helping the maintenance people all day. So anyway, you have a good night, and see you guys later.